Well, hello again, everybody, and welcome into the Shelby County High School football pregame show, live at two separate locations. Once again, Andrew out there, our game of the week. The Vincent Yellow Jackets going to host Tuscaloosa Academy in a big top 10 showdown in the 2A classification. I'm out here at Pelham High School, where the Panthers are going to play host to the Spain Park Jaguars. Just 2 of 11 games there that we've got taking place tonight. So it's going to be a busy night. Back in region play this week. The big one there at Vincent for Andrew, the county battle here at Pelham. We've got Thompson Hewitt. We've got Oak Mountain Hoover. Chelsea looking to stay unbeaten against Chilton County. Helena in a big region showdown against Benjamin Russell. Calera, a big chance at a win tonight as well. Shelby County likely in a battle for the region championship tonight against Demopolis. Briarwood, a huge game at Corner. And we've got some ACSC action as well with the Evangel Lightning at number 1 Chamber. So across the board, Andrew, looks to be a fantastic night of high school football. I think every single game that we've got taking place tonight is either going to determine a region champion or determine how high of a seed you're going to be able to get in the playoffs here in a few weeks.
Yeah, outside of a couple non-region games that we've got in Calera as they take on Brookwood, and then Evangel as they go take on the number 1 team in the AISA, we got stakes abound tonight as we hit week 7 in the action. You guys really have a great game no matter where you are tonight, so I hope you guys are taking advantage of this gorgeous weather tonight and really getting out to one of your games. But right here, we've got a really huge one as Vincent takes on Tuscaloosa Academy. Atmosphere starting to build for this one as we get a battle of 2 unbeaten, 2 top 6 teams within Class 2A. I've been excited for this one for a while. Glad to be here and take it all in. And I know you're excited to take in both Pelham and Spain Park once again. 2 teams definitely trending in the right direction.
I love the county battles. It's so much fun. Obviously, that it benefits us to be able to cover 2 teams at the same time with a good following. You know that the followers that you have were wanting to stay in tune with what's happening with both teams. So hope for a good one out here at Pelham. Obviously, these 2 teams in opposite situations coming into this one right now, but Pelham enters with a little bit of confidence after that win over Chilton County. So you never know. It could be an entertaining game here between these 2. It's going to be a fun show. Make sure you jump in the comments if you can. We want to hear from you as well, whether you're watching on YouTube, whether you're watching on Twitter, or there on Facebook Live. Make sure you jump in those comments and get going there. Score predictions, whatever you want to share. If you can get them up there, we'd love to have those throughout. I know we've had some issues at times with them the last couple of weeks, but hopefully the comment section working tonight. So we'd love to hear from you throughout the show, or just get your reactions. Like, thumbs up on YouTube. Give us a like. Go ahead and subscribe. On Facebook, same thing. Give us some likes. It really helps us out, and we appreciate that as well. Share on Twitter if you can, and just get the show as much traction as we can as we break down all of these big games that we've got going on across Shelby County tonight. And, Andrew, we're going to start down in the ACSC tonight. No AISA games after we had a forfeit in the Cornerstone Coosa Valley game. It's going to be a fun county battle there. But in that 8-man matchup there that was set to take place at Cornerstone, we get a forfeit, and that game no longer taking place. So the one game we've got down there in the ACSC, Andrew, is going to be Evangel, but it's a big one as they take on number 1 Chambers Academy, the number 1 team in the AISA in 11-man play. This is an 8-man team technically for Evangel. We know they jump into 11-man action a lot. They fared well so far this season in most of their 11-man games as well. So what's the outlook like in this game for the Evangel Lightning as they look to pick up a huge win at Chambers Academy?
Well, the bottom line is you can't say Tim Smith is ducking any challengers. He is going out and making the most challenging schedule, whether it comes to 8-man football or 11-man football. You cannot get any better of an opponent in the AISA than Chambers. Currently, like Alex said, the number 1 team within that, undefeated against Alabama teams this year and coming in off of 5 straight wins, including a couple of really good recent wins against Bessemer Academy and Morgan Academy, where that defense and that offense has really shown brightly for them. So this is going to be a big challenge for Evangel, both with the Lightning's top ranked defense that has really gotten even tighter within 11-man play, and that offense just continues to build momentum week after week. Kemp Swords and Eli Black had another great night last week. We'll see if that continues tonight against the Chambers defense that's allowing just 13.8 points per game over on the defense, and has been even better since they got into AISA Class 3A play. Overall, I do think the Lightning will keep it fairly close for a little bit, which would go a heck of a way to show how far they've come as a program and where they stand against some of the AISA's best. But the bottom line is I think Chambers just has too much experience, both within this format and too much momentum riding on its side, and just a lot of talent at its backing as well. Going to go with Chambers as my pick as well for the Rebels.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun game just to simply look at Evangel's defense and what they've done against 11-man competition. We know 8-man, it's back and forth up and down the field the whole time, but Evangel's defense against 11-man opponents this year has been outstanding overall. Chambers, though, outstanding consistently in 11-man play, defensively giving up 13.8, offensively scoring 40.3. Really good football team. Evangel also a really good football team, but this is a Chambers team that's used to competing for state championships at the 11-man level in the AISA. I expect them also to pick up a win, but we'll see how Chambers or how Evangel handles that game, because that could be a really close game. If they've got a chance to win that one in the second half, that says a lot about where this Evangel team's going the rest of the way. Expect them to win another ACSC state championship there in 8-man play. We're going to skip over our 2A game there between Vincent and Tuscaloosa Academy out there with Andrew. We're going to save that one for the end as our game of the week, which we do every week. And we're going to jump in to a big matchup, our 5A games. And we're going to start with Montevallo here as they host Selma. And Andrew, it's another chance for the Bulldogs to find that get-right game. This is a Montevallo team that, we had maybe a little bit higher expectations for coming into the season. They looked good in that opener and just hadn't been able to find it offensively since then. But now they get a Selma team that struggled so far this season, overall sitting at 3-3, but they've lost 3 games in a row. So that momentum right now, both of these teams looking for it as they head down the stretch here to close out region play over the next few weeks. What's the expectation here from Montevallo's confidence, trying to get that confidence back and look for momentum here late in the season?
Well, they're really going to need it against the Selma team that presents one of their better opportunities to get a win over the rest of the season. This is a Montevallo team that's only scoring 13.4 points per game and really had little to offer John Carroll last week in their 4th straight loss, this time to the Cavs at home. Now they get the Selma Saints coming up from the eastern part of the state. And they've got some pretty solid losses on their schedule in that 3-game losing streak. An overtime loss to Northside, a team that Montevallo struggled against. A Demopolis loss, another team that Montevallo struggled with. And a solid Fairfield team as well. So Selma's going to want to look to get some momentum going into their bye week and take advantage of this Montevallo team. They're typically getting in closer games. They're scoring 20.7 points per game and allowing just 22.7. But overall, this Montevallo team just really needs to come out and prove it on offense. We know that the defense is solid. We know that it can get them stops and keep them in games for longer. But it's all about the offense. Can you expand beyond Rosario Conwell? And can you even get him in the ball in the space, make him get some big plays with some blocks? I know the veteran offensive line, usually pretty solid there for the Dogs. But overall, this is a must-win game for Montevallo if they have any hopes of getting into the playoffs this year. Can't write them off quite just yet. There's still a little bit of the season left to go. But quite frankly, since I haven't seen it within the past few weeks, I don't really have the confidence within Montevallo to get it done. But would definitely love some touchdowns to happen if they were to happen.
Yeah, that's my big concern, too, really, for both of these teams. Their offenses have both struggled this year. You look at Selma scoring 20.7 points per game right now. That's not great offensively. Montevallo, even worse, scoring 13.4 points per game offensively, and they've scored 14 or less in 4 straight and 7 in 3 of their last 4 games. They're going to have to find a way to score points tonight to pick up a win. The problem for both is that the defenses are actually playing pretty good football. And so when you got 2 defenses that are playing pretty well this year and you got 2 offenses struggling, I think this is going to be a slugfest. I think it's going to be a hard-fought physical game that could be sloppy at times, which means it's anybody's game to win at the end of the day. But we've seen a little bit more from that Selma offense this year. And to me, that's the tipping point in this game. I think Selma going to pick up the win there. But like you said, this presents one of Montevallo's best chances at a win when you look at it on paper for the rest of the season. So they're going to come out, I think, and use that to their advantage to try to pick up a big win against Selma. But end of the day, that offense is going to have to be what steps up and makes the difference. That takes us to Briarwood and Corner. Briarwood hitting the road. And, Andrew, to me, this is a Briarwood team that they look lost. They look like they were done for, and, it was over for them this year. Going into last week, sitting at 0-5 with 5 straight losses to start the season, and then all of a sudden, here comes Luke Reynolds. He storms onto the field, 168 rushing yards, 4 touchdowns. The Lions score 31 unanswered last week to take down number 4 Leeds, 31-14, and just an impressive effort to get back on the right track and get some confidence. And their defense has played well consistently throughout the year. And so now they've got Luke Reynolds healthy and back for the first time this season since early, and he clearly made a difference. So if your defense keeps playing as well as it has, and he comes in and continues to play that well, this is a Briarwood team that's going to be dangerous down the stretch. But more than that, if they can get through this game, this is the challenge. If they can get by Corner, I think they win out in region play and get to the playoffs. So, Andrew, break down this game. Corner, a really good football team right now. Briarwood looks to be the team that we kind of expected to be coming into the season after that performance last week.
Yeah, the reason we expected them to be like this coming into the season is because they're finally healthy. Like, this has not been a full-strength Briarwood team for most of the season, and a lot of that is Luke Reynolds. A lot of you guys who were following the Lions last season probably remember that the run game was in a little bit of a similar rut last season until Luke Reynolds comes over from the defense and starts bringing a little bit of a spark to that run game, makes some big plays, eventually gets himself an all-county spot for the Lions there, and just really showed himself to be a really solid downfield threat in the run game. And I expect him to continue to have that kind of success here, but it's going to need to come against a really good defense. Corner is a top 10 team within Class 5A, and they're allowing just 17.4 points per game. Currently off their worst defensive performance of the season, which was just 28 points against Jacksonville. So this offense is going to have a little bit of its work cut out for it, but I do think it is massively improved from where we saw it just a couple of weeks ago, where they really just couldn't get much of anything going and squandered a couple of really poor opportunities against Carver Birmingham and against Winona, as well as against Ramsey, really being able to not take advantage of the gaps that the defense was giving them. But it is really all about starting strong on both ends of the field, getting stops, get something for your defense to work with on the offensive side. I think it's going to come down to who's able to wear down the opposing defense first, and that's why I like Reynolds in this one. I think that his role as a downhill runner will be able to help the Lions out in between the line of scrimmage, and then that will eventually give way to a couple of touchdowns, and a Briarwood win, second straight.
Yeah, I mean, this ultimately comes down to Reynolds' success to me as well. You look at both of these teams; they're playing so well defensively, but Corner has not lit up things in the scoring column. They hadn't put up a ton of points scoring wise, and Briarwood's given up 23 points or less in 4 straight games. Overall, they're giving up 23.8 points per game, and the last 4 weeks have been much better than that average too. So you look at the way this defense is playing, I think this is a 1-score game at the end of the night, and what's going to make the difference in ultimately getting Briarwood over the top is Luke Reynolds and the ability to continue to run well. But in addition to that offensive line, that Corner is going to be zoned in on stopping Luke Reynolds. So it all comes down to who's going to win that battle more. We know what we're going to do to them. They know what we're going to do as well. So if that Briarwood offensive line comes out and plays well, if the receivers continue to block well in space, which they did last week, Briarwood's going to have a really, really good chance to win this football game. So I'm excited to see how that plays out between those two teams, because if Briarwood can win that one, they'll have 2 huge wins in a row as a healthy football team. And all of a sudden, they go from being an 0-5 team to a 2-5 team that becomes a dangerous threat down the stretch. And if they get into the playoffs and they're healthy, that's going to be a scary sight for any team facing them early in the postseason. So we'll see how the Lions handle that road trip to take on Corner tonight. It's also going to be a big game for the Shelby County Wildcats as well. You look at Shelby County, they fall last week to St. Clair County for their first loss of the season. Still a one-score game, 28-21, about the battle that we expected. And now they get to take on Demopolis, trying to avoid 2 straight losses after that incredible start. And that's not the team you typically want to face when you're trying to get back into the win column. Demopolis, a very good football team, the favorite to win this region this year. But Shelby County is a different squad this year. This is a team that's ready to compete for a region championship from what they've shown us throughout the season. So, Andrew, look at this game. Can you see a way for Shelby County to win this football game? Because ultimately, to me, it determines who wins the region title.
Absolutely, I do, but it's going to rely on close to a perfect game from the Wildcats. I definitely don't think we're going to get a game like we saw in years past where Demopolis just completely runs the floor with Shelby County, but I do think this is going to be a lot closer, and it's because of those offensive improvements. If Anthony Palmieri and the offensive line are really able to continue to break through a Demopolis defense that's averaging just 18.2 points per game and is unbeaten in region play, then I think they're going to have a lot more success than usual. But this Demopolis offense has been really good since the start of region play, scoring 40, 41, and 35 in their 3 region games, in their 3 games since their first 2 games this season. So they're going to need to bring a consistent defensive effort to limit that scoring and make sure that the offense does not fall behind at all. It's going to take 48 minutes of effort. It's going to take a clean game, kind of the opposite of what we saw last week where 3 fumbles really sank their opportunity to beat St. Clair County. What ended up being a 1-score game for them at the end and a loss for them. I do think Demopolis is going to get the win just because I think this is a very battle-tested team, and there's too many things that probably need to go right for Shelby County to get a convincing win in this one. But I think it's going to be close, and if you're the Wildcats, you're likely in the driver's seat for a 2 seed, even with the loss, with the win over Northside earlier this season.
Yeah, I still think after this, really good chance they win out the rest of the way. So great chance at them to still get home field advantage with that 2 seed. But yeah, to me, you look at Demopolis, you look at what Shelby County is going to need to do, and it's going to be their defense. Their offense has shown so much progress since last year, and obviously it's going to be key for them to score points in this football game. But this is not going to be a game where you're going to go out and score 35 points on a Demopolis defense. They're just too good on that side of the football, giving up 18.2 points per game. So you have to rely on what you're looking at from that music. Wow, that threw me off a little bit, man. The Pelham hype music they've got going on right now is sending some energy through the whole stadium. But
what they got blasting over there, Alec?
I don't know. They've got the band hype video that has come up, and it's as loud as you could expect a hype music to be. But anyway, so yeah, you look at Shelby County, what they're going to have to do. I think they need to keep Demopolis between a 14 and 21 point range. And that's going to be the ultimate key. If they can do that, going to have a really good chance to win this football game. But I think Demopolis gets just north of that. I think they get 28 to 35, somewhere in that range. And I think Shelby County is going to be between 14 and 21 at the end of the night. So great opportunity for them. We'll see if they can pull it off. Shelby County is a much more confident football team than they've been in a long time. And this is a huge opportunity for them tonight. Before we move on, I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors for the show, and that's going to be 3D Air Services, proud sponsors of several of our teams here on the Shelby County High School football pregame show, Briarwood, Oak Mountain, Pelham, and Thompson specifically. So we'll talk about them a little bit more throughout the show as well. But since 2005, they've proudly called Shelby County home. More than just your trusted HVAC company, they're your neighbors, friends, and supporters. The proud sponsors of, like I said, several of our teams, of us here to make this even the power of teamwork, dedication, and community spirit, which they're going to take with them to every job that they do. Make sure you give them a call throughout this high school football season and beyond. They're going to take care of all your heating and cooling needs with your HVAC system right there at 3D Air Services. We're inching closer and closer, I promise you, to those cooler months. It's going to be here before you know it, and you're going to want to get that heater tuned up and checked out, or you're going to run into an unexpected issue. Make sure you write this number down and give them a call, 205-664-3501, 205-664-3501. Jay Carr and his certified team going to take great care of you. Visit them and check out their services at 3dairservices.com. And, Andrew, that's going to take us into another big matchup, another opportunity for a big win tonight for the Calera Eagles as they hit the road to take on Brookwood. And Calera, you look at what they've done this year. They've had some success offensively, but have struggled a little bit with turnover. Team that's sitting at 0-6 and scoring just 8 points per game while giving up north of 50 points per game. So everything seems to be going the direction of Calera in this matchup.
Yeah, but you don't play the game on paper. You play it on the field. And that's why the Eagles have got to come out determined to win this one, despite Brookwood being a very winnable opponent where they're allowing over 50 points per game. Much has been said about Calera this year. Obviously, the offense, absolutely incredible. A.J. Johnson has been one of the best quarterbacks in the county this year. But between turnovers and the defense being a little bit suspect at times, that hasn't really shown in their record. But I expect him and the offense to really be able to shine and show their true abilities within this one. I expect a big game in the air for Johnson, and then also a big confidence builder for the defense. You look at this Brookwood offense that's scoring 8.8 points per game. I really do think that this defense is really going to get a chance to build some momentum ahead of a big game next week against Chilton County that could really determine if this team is really going to snowball its way potentially to a playoff spot, to that 4th seed. It's still very much up for grabs for these Eagles, and it starts right here. It starts right now off of their bye week. So being able to come in focused and ready for this one, even though it's a non-region game, is going to be absolutely crucial.
Yeah, just the way that they play. And I watched A.J. Johnson a couple of weeks ago against Chelsea, and, they struggled in different facets of the game. Obviously, turnovers remain an issue, and the defense has struggled to stop much of anything in the run or pass. But tonight, I think they get stops. And not only that, I think A.J. Johnson is going to put up absurd numbers. They've got athletes on that team. They're young, but he can throw the football. Man, if he had another 2 years of high school, he would be a highly touted recruit here over the next couple of years. And I still think a college should take a shot on him because of the ability and the prospect that you get out of him. So much opportunity there out of A.J. Johnson and what he can do throwing it on the run. I mean, he can just flick the wrist and it's going to go 40, 50 yards in the easiest looking throw possible. So tonight, I think they have a big night offensively against that defense that's really, really struggling, giving up 51.2 points per game there for Brookwood. And that offense not scoring enough points to be able to keep up with what A.J. Johnson and that Calera offense are going to put out there. Before we move on to our next big set of 6A games, I want to tell you about Bertoloni's in Calera. You talk about putting up good numbers. Well, they put up very good statistics as well from a rating standpoint. This is one of the top Italian restaurants in the state of Alabama. I promise you, go visit them. They've been voted Shelby Living's best date night, best pizza, best upscale restaurant, all of the above, right off of I-65 there in Calera. Their Italian dishes are to die for. You get that lasagna, you get the typical spaghetti and meatballs, so much more right there at Bertoloni's in Calera. The pizzas are something that are a hidden gem. If you have not gone and tried out their pizzas, they are incredible. And, of course, you can't forget about their cakes. The strawberry cake, one of the best pieces of cake that you're going to find in Shelby County and around the state of Alabama. But you can also get those seasonal flavors that they have and a bunch of other unique flavors as well. Get them by the slice. You can get them whole for your birthday party, whatever you need. Visit them there at Bertoloni's in Calera, 205-664-8780 to place your to-go order, or visit them at their new website, bertolonis.com. They've got those family meals. They're going to take care of you throughout the week for your entire family during a busy time of year. And every time of year is busy when you look at what you've got going on with the kids and all those family events. So make sure that you take advantage of those opportunities there at Bertoloni's in Calera, right off of I-65 there in the city of Calera. That takes us on, Andrew, to another big region showdown for the Helena Huskies tonight as they take on Benjamin Russell. And, Andrew, Helena coming off 3 consecutive losses entering this game. 2 of those games, though, very tight football games against very good football teams. And all 3 losses in that 3-game losing streak coming against very good football teams. If I'm not mistaken, all three. Benjamin Russell, I'm not sure tonight. Are they in the top 10 right now?
They're not, but each of the three opponents that they have played are in the top 10 in their respective classifications.
So very close. And Benjamin Russell could have been with a win over Spain Park, but ultimately dropped that game a couple weeks ago. And so you look at that track that they've played, the trek they've had the last few weeks for the Huskies, a tough trek. They get another tough one tonight with Benjamin Russell, but they're a battle-tested team. And Ben Russell, we saw how they performed against Spain Park, and it was not good. Helena should have really beaten Spain Park. They had every opportunity to do so, a very tight football game. So you look at that and you think, man, Helena's got a really good chance at a huge region game and win tonight to wipe clean that 3-game losing streak they've had. So, Andrew, what's the storyline going into this matchup for the Helena Huskies?
Well, the reason why we expected Ben Russell to be better in that matchup is because they have a really dynamic offense. They've got one of the best quarterbacks in the entire state in Elijah Johnson, already throwing for over 1,000 yards. You got the number 3 receiver in the entire state in Cedarian Morgan, who's more than filling those Malcolm Simmons-style shoes that were left after last season. Obviously, he's now playing down in the Plains. But this Ben Russell team really does present a decent threat on offense with 32.7 points per game on offense. But I think this Helena team is really equipped well to stop them. Obviously, Helena allowing 26 points per game has given up some big spots to some opponents. But I think they're able to get stops when needed, and I think that's really going to help this team here. And we've also seen this Ben Russell defense be really suspect. Outside of a shutout, Charles Henderson last week, they've really allowed some big numbers to some opponents, allowing 25.7 points per game. And this is where I think that the Helena offense and the momentum that it's had over the last few weeks, both on the ground and in the air, is really going to make a difference. And I think that is going to be where the game is going to be decided. I think Helena will have plenty of room to attack a vulnerable Benjamin Russell defense, but they're going to need to finish some drives in order to keep pace with Benjamin Russell. I think at the end of the day, they really do get it done, though.
Yeah, I almost feel like we're being sucked into both picking Helena here, because I know I was kind of surprised when you did it on the show earlier this week, and I felt pretty confident in their ability. And the only thing that scares me is that 3-game losing streak and what that can do for their confidence going into a game like this. But if you win this one, you're still very much in prime position, because the last 2 losses have been non-region games. Your only region loss is to Spain Park, who is likely going to win the region championship. Obviously, a big game still ahead for them next week that's probably going to determine that. But when you look at that, to me, that gives them the confidence that, hey, we still got everything we want to play for the rest of the way. And I think that's what makes the difference tonight. I think that physical rushing attack, that continued offensive growth in the passing game as well, going to make the difference at the end of the night. They got a really good kicker, too. And when you got a good kicker, that can make a difference in a very tight football game. I think this is going to be a good one. And I think the battle-tested schedule that Helena has faced makes the difference at the end of the night. I think the Huskies going to be able to pull off a huge win against Benjamin Russell. And before we jump on and talk about the Chelsea Hornets, I want to tell you about Consigned Design right there in Alabaster, 72 Fulton Springs Road, near Publix and Walmart Neighborhood Market. Consigned Design is going to take care of all of your consignment needs throughout the year. You can give them a call, 205-664-7540, 205-664-7540, to check out, have any questions about getting involved in the consignment or any questions about some of the items they carry. Make sure to give them a call. You can also visit consigned.design to see everything they offer there at Consigned Design. They're going to take care of you, clothes, jewelry, whatever you need. They're going to take care of you throughout the football season and get your game day gear as well right there at Consigned Design in Alabaster. All of your consignment needs, anything you could think of, they're going to try to help you out and find what you need. So make sure to visit them, 72 Fulton Springs there in Alabaster, proud sponsors of us here on the Shelby County High School Football pregame show. And Andrew, that takes us to the Chelsea Hornets. And what a season it has been for the Hornets this year. And tonight, another great opportunity. With a win, this would be their 7th 6-0 start in school history. And they've been playing since the 1960s. So that's a huge accomplishment for them alone. It also likely going to set up a very big undefeated matchup with Spain Park if Spain Park can get by this Pelham team tonight as well. So you win this one tonight against a team that you should be better than. Next week's going to be a lot of fun, but when you focus on tonight, which is what my worry would be, is losing that sight and looking ahead to next week. But when you focus on tonight, Andrew, what's the difference in this game for the Chelsea Hornets?
Yeah, I was originally a little bit worried about the focus going into last week, facing a similar situation with the weak Paul Bryant team. But after the way they went out and handled that one, I have zero qualms about taking the Hornets in this one. I think they're going to come out really focused and determined, especially with this being a non-region game. With this being a region game as opposed to a non-region game. I think they'll really be motivated to continue gaining that traction in the standings, as hopefully they'll be able to enter next week's matchup undefeated and also be able to pose a threat for the region title, which would be absolutely huge for them. But obviously, what you'll want to do is avoid what Pelham did a couple weeks ago, which is get off to a slow start. You're going to need to attack out of the gate, both on the ground with Chase Straisner or through the air with Miller Bowman, and then on the other side with the defense, continue to hold them with that strong defense that we've continued to see week in and week out. I expect another statement win for Chelsea tonight against Chilton County.
Yeah, I mean, just Chelsea's the better team. Simple as that. And you nailed it. The way they performed last week against a weaker Paul Bryant team, that's what gives me confidence that they're not going to look ahead to what they have next week. This is a team that's playing better than anybody expected, and they know that. They know that they now believe they are a good football team too. So they have that belief in themselves, and it's made a huge difference. And I think you saw that last week against Paul Bryant, a team that they should have beaten and should have beaten handily, and they did that. And I think tonight, another great opportunity to do that. With how they've performed so far this season on both sides of the ball. Defense too good. They shouldn't give up a ton of points to Chilton County. And then when you look at what the offense is doing, Chase Straisner and his physicality, good luck stopping him with the Miller Bowman, who is continuing to improve there, throwing the football for Chelsea. Very impressed by his improvement there at the quarterback position in year one as a starter for the Hornets. So a big opportunity for the Hornets to get that 7th 6-0 start in school history. And that takes us to the game that I am at right here at Pelham High School as the Panthers welcome Spain Park to town. And just over my shoulder there, if you can't see, beautiful sunset. Mm-hmm. And this is high school football right here in Central Alabama. Beautiful setting, 70 degrees out here, sun setting, created a beautiful night. And it's going to be a great night out here at Pelham High School. Andrew, go ahead and just tell us you look at Spain Park, such a good football team this year. Pelham on the opposite end, struggled through those first 4 games, but then they pick up that big win against Chilton County, coming into this with some confidence. What's this game going to look like?
Well, obviously, Chilton County, a little bit of a weaker team, as we mentioned, against Chelsea, but a win is a win. And with that and a combination of a bye week, I really do think this Pelham team is trending in the right direction, especially when you consider how tight the losses were leading into this. We mentioned it on the football show earlier this week. This team could be above 500 rolling into this matchup. And I think it's a lot better than it looks on paper. But at the same time, you can't overlook what the Spain Park team is doing. Another gritty win at James Clemens last week, and they just continue to impress with their offensive production and how they're able to step up on defense when needed. So I think that while Pelham is going to find its opportunities with an improved offense against that Spain Park defense that's been a little suspect at times this season, I just can't bet against this Jags offense. It's clicking on all cylinders right now, and I expect them to have a really strong day against the Pelham defense that's giving up 31.6 points per game.
Yeah, that's the key. Spain Park's too balanced. You look at Brock Bradley, you look at C.J. Calley, you look at Dakari Shanks. Right there, that's the backfield. You got the quarterback, the 2 running backs. That balance opens up so much for them. And then you go beyond that, and you look at what Corey Barber's done out wide at receiver, really performing at a high level right now. And they've got balance beyond that in the passing game, too. And it's that balance that makes them such a dangerous team against a defense that struggled throughout the season. Now, I will say Spain Park's defense has been a little bit of a roller coaster ride. Look really great for some drives, and then they'll give up some plays that just blow your mind. And I do think because of that, you could see Pelham have a few plays that keep this game a little bit closer. But ultimately, the Spain Park team, the balance of that offense, they're going to get it figured out at the half defensively. If they are having any issues, they're going to be able to pick up a win here and remain undefeated. And ultimately, after our last 2 predictions, that means we should get that showdown next week between Chelsea and Spain Park on a Thursday night, which would likely very good chance that sets up the region champion there. So we'll see how Pelham fares against Spain Park tonight, how Chelsea fares against Chilton County to see what that sets up next week. Before we jump into our final 3 games, we got Oak Mountain Hoover, we got Thompson Hewitt, and we got the game of the week out there at Benton. I want to tell you about Scooter's Coffee right there on Highway 280. 2 locations, one in Chelsea, one in Inverness. Make sure you give them a visit, man. I'm telling you, throughout the fall season, they've got some of their best menu items that they'll have throughout the entire year. Anytime you're heading down to Auburn for a football game, heading to Tuscaloosa, down 280 to get on 459 and then eventually 59, visit Scooter's Coffee. If you're heading up to Nashville tomorrow and you got to go down 280 from that 119 Chelsea area, wherever it may be, stop by Scooter's Coffee. You're in and out, that quick drive-through service. And if you haven't seen their menu this time of year, it's unbelievable. As soon as we get done with the show, close us down, go to scooterscoffee.com and look at some of those things that they've got. I mean, it's just unbelievable. They got all those great food items, the omelet bites, the cake bites, and then those coffee drinks, their blenders, the iced coffee, the hot coffee. There's just so many great, delicious items right there at Scooter's Coffee that you'll want to visit on Highway 280 in Inverness, next to Home Depot and Chipotle in Chelsea, next to Buffalo Wild Wings. Very easy and convenient as you get that drive-through only service that gets you in and out in the blink of an eye. So, Andrew, Oak Mountain at Hoover. This is a huge opportunity for the Eagles. My bold prediction on the show earlier this week was Oak Mountain gets it done. My actual prediction was Hoover, but the bold prediction, hedging my bets there, the bold prediction is an Oak Mountain win tonight. Ultimately, if they do that, Will Odell is going to have to go crazy. Marty Myricks is going to have to go crazy. The offensive line is going to have to play their best game of the night because I think the offense is going to have to come out and score 28-plus points to have that opportunity, mainly because Hoover's defense has, been really good, but Hoover's probably going to score some points on this Oak Mountain defense as well.
Yeah, I think that Oak Mountain defense is really the key here. You saw what kind of a firefight they got into against Tuscaloosa County a couple weeks ago before Oak Mountain went on the bye, and that was the Tuscaloosa County team that had done absolutely nothing on offense before that game. You put up that result on defense, it's a really discouraging result, quite frankly, and you only hope that over the course of the bye week that they've gotten a chance to refocus, go into a Hoover team that is 4-2, but those 2 losses to a couple of really good 6A teams in Spain Park and Parker. And from having watched this Hoover team against Spain Park, I know it's not as good as the Hoover teams in the past. We know how good Hoover can be when it's at its peak. But I do really think that this is an underrated Hoover offense. It can grind you down. It can be explosive when needed. I really do think that this Bucks team has a really good opportunity to make some noise, and I think that's going to happen against Oak Mountain. Obviously, I think Oak Mountain's going to do an admirable job fighting. I think it's going to be closer than previous years. But ultimately, you're also looking at what they're trying to do against a team that they've never beaten in school history, and you've got the weight of that history weighing on you as well. But I think at the end of the day, the Bucks wind up taking this one, just because I don't think that they're going to be able to keep up on the offensive side. Will Oak Mountain if the defense can't get stops.
Why don't you go ahead, Andrew, take us into the Thompson-Hewitt-Trustville game as I get ready for the national anthem here.
Absolutely. We've got another incredible matchup here. The theme today is with a lot of region title stakes on the line, and this one certainly does. You've got a 4-2 Thompson team taking on a Hewitt-Trustville team that's 5-1 and has really been strong on offense this season. 37.2 points per game on the offensive side, but it's these defenses that are really making these two teams click. The Huskies giving up just 10.8 points per game on their side, and the Warriors giving up 13.5 points per game as well. And we saw last week this Warriors team make a couple of really good 4th down stops near the goal line. And obviously we know the turnover threat that they can pose with Anquan Fagans in the secondary. So I really do expect both of these defenses to come out and have a strong performance here. But ultimately, at the end of the day, this Thompson offense is going to need to come out to play from the very beginning. Use last week's game as a wake-up call, albeit it was against a really good Clay Chalkville defense. But they weren't able to perform as well, hopefully with some better weather on their side. And a different change of scenery, they'll be able to get this one done, but it's going to have to be close. I think it's going to be the Warriors.
Yep. So just to recap you on the last 2, I'm going to go through my Oak Mountain Hoover breakdown and then jump into that Thompson Hewitt game. Before we jump real quick to that game of the week, first, I want to tell you about 3D Air Services one more time. Great sponsor for us here on the show. So appreciative of everything they're doing for us to make this possible. So please support them in return. They're supporting a lot of our local schools, helping us give even better coverage than we could without them. So make sure you support them throughout the high school football season and beyond. Any HVAC needs that you need, they're going to take care of you there at 3D Air Services. Jay Carr and his certified crew do a great job. And whether it's heating, air conditioning, whatever it might be throughout the years, the changing of the seasons, make sure to give them a call, 205-664-3501, 205-664-3501. They're proudly calling Shelby County home, and they love to pour in to the local community. So make sure you give them a visit. As for me, Oak Mountain, it all comes down to how that offense plays against a really good Hoover defense, because I do think Hoover scores points on that Oak Mountain defense, and that's going to be a problem if Oak Mountain's not able to come out and move the ball with Will Odell. As for the Thompson Warriors, taking on Hewitt tonight, this is a big game, and I've had a sneaky feeling throughout the week that Thompson's going to come out and play their best game of the year. I don't know what it is, but this Hewitt team is really good defensively. They're just not scoring a lot of points against really good defenses. Now, they've scored points at times, but against good defenses, they've really struggled to put up a ton of points. And that Thompson defense may be the best in the state, aside from the Clay Chalkville when they faced last week.
Right.
It's giving up like 2-something points per game right now. So when you look at Thompson's offense, they're going to have to get it going at some point if they want to win a state championship. And eventually those adjustments are going to come into play, and they're going to find it, and it's going to click all in one night. It's going to be tough against a good Hewitt-Trussville defense, but I think that this is the best opportunity that you've got to really make a statement. And if you win this one, I think you're in very, very good shape to close out a region championship here down the stretch. So a great opportunity for the Thompson Warriors as they host Hewitt-Trussville in a big region matchup there tonight at Thompson. That takes us, Andrew, to the game of the week right there at Vincent. What an opportunity for the Yellow Jackets on their home field, a top 10 battle. And, I mean, the region's still difficult after this. It's not a cakewalk to the finish line, but very good chance that this one against Tuscaloosa Academy in a top 10 battle is for the region championship.
Yeah, make no mistake about it. This is their toughest test in a season of tough tests. And the Jackets, they've risen to the challenge so far this season, going 5-0 and taking care of business in every single game this year, and is absolute fire on defense, giving up 6 combined points over their past 3 games, averaging 6 as a whole over the course of the season. I'm really excited to see this Jackets defense and how it holds up against the Tuscaloosa Academy offense. That's averaging 41 points per game. And obviously, Preston Lancaster, one of the best quarterbacks in the state for them, averaging 309 yards per game, and has a couple of really strong receivers as well. So this is going to be really crucial for them. This is going to show how they stack up against the top teams within Class 2A. So I expect if they want to win this, they're going to have to come out strong on both ends of the field. Tuscaloosa Academy doesn't have a slouch of a defense either, giving up 11.2 points per game. I think the bottom line is you're not going to keep the Knights out of the end zone. They're just too good. They're going to get some points on the board. It's how much you limit it, get some stops, limit the big plays, and then winning becomes more feasible. So I think if they're able to do that, dominate the ground like they did last week with Jaden Roberts, Aiden Gasaway, and Jason Fields, and even get that pass game going. They've got some good players who can catch the ball out in space. I really do think if they do that, if those receivers come up big, both on the offense and then flip it over to the secondary, guard that pass defense over there for Tuscaloosa Academy, I really do think that Vincent has a good chance to win this, albeit in a close one. It's going to be an amazing game.
Yeah, I look at it, and I look at this. I can say this now, no bulletin board materials. All the players are on the field.
Right.
But Vincent was confident, man. We saw them out there when we were doing the football show earlier this week, and they're confident that they can win this football game and that they've got the defense to shut down that quarterback at Tuscaloosa Academy. So they're going to play with that confidence tonight. It's just a matter of actually doing it and showing it on the field.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I do think that Tuscaloosa Academy offense is just going to be a little bit too much in this game. But, man, if Vincent can win this program is in such good shape from where it's been at other times in history, and it would be a statement win against a very good football team that could make either one of these teams could make a very deep run in the postseason this year. So a top 10 battle, number 6, Vincent, number 3, Tuscaloosa Academy. Vincent's defense giving up 6 points per game. They got to do that tonight. They got to come out, I think, give up at least 21 or less, but I think they need to give up in the teens or less to have a chance to win this football game with their offense. We'll see if the Yellow Jackets can pull it off. A great environment. Can't wait to follow along with Andrew's updates out there at Vincent throughout the night. Andrew, real quick, any quick closing thoughts on this night of high school football?
The atmosphere is getting electric. I'm sure no matter where you are, it is too. We got a great night of action. Can't wait to see who makes a statement in this final stretch of region play.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful night. The weather is absolutely perfect. No rain tonight. Praise the Lord. It should be an incredible night across the board. Huge games on tap. I can't stress that enough, how big all of these games will be in determining playoff fate, region championships, top 2 seeds. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and we've taken it up right to the wire, and I love that because you really do start to get the sense of the environment out here. Both sides of the stadiums filling in out here at Pelham High School. Same for Vincent and that big showdown. And those are just 2 of the 11 that we have taking place, with all having big moments in them tonight. So make sure you follow along. You can follow along with me out here at Pelham Spain Park, at Alec Etheridge SC, right there below at Alec Etheridge SC. And then over there to my left, Andrew T. Simonson on Twitter. X, I guess I should say. Got to get used to that. But make sure you follow along with Andrew. He's got all of the games covered right there. He's going to be retweeting our other freelancers that are out. I will be doing my best to do the same. But we got a lot of good ones tonight, a lot of big opportunities. So make sure you're following over there on X with Andrew at Andrew T. Simonson and at Alec Etheridge SC. After the games, as always, stories, photos, video, everything you need on Twitter, on Facebook, on our website, ShelbyCountyReporter.com. Plenty of stuff coming on YouTube throughout the week, Instagram as well, with our reels and shorts on both of those platforms. So make sure you're following. As always, like, subscribe. We appreciate your support. Thanks once again to our great sponsors, Scooters Coffee, 3D Air Services, Montevallo Main Street, Consign Design, and Bertoloni's. We appreciate all of their support for making the Shelby County High School football show happen. That's going to do it. It's going to be a fun night, Andrew. Buckle up. Go get out there. Cover that great game. I'll be following along. Can't wait to see it. Thank you all for tuning in. Enjoy your Football Friday night.